Insurance. An important part of the global financial system, it is one of the reasons commerce keeps moving and money is invested for future growth. It is a principle that aims to protect the interest of billion-dollar corporations as well as down to family and individuals' peace of mind. In a country like Ethiopia, it has not yet fulfilled its potential. With a market penetration estimated less than 0.5%, it is a service mainly serving the top 1% of the population at best. To best reach the underserved communities and innovate a service that has not changed much in time, there is a need for disruptive solutions. Financial sector deepening has introduced Bima Lab Ethiopia InsurTech Accelerator, a program said to recognize the need for innovative insurance solutions, helping startups in having the opportunity to grow their ideas into sustainable businesses and receive support in navigating the regulatory landscape with its partnership with the National Bank of Ethiopia.
Yeah, so I think the Ethiopian companies were highly involved during the program that we did for the Africa continent. And what I see is that the team is really up to task in terms of really providing solutions that are needed in this particular market. We were lucky to get 3 of them winning the African Award in Kenya. Out of the seven companies that were selected, 3 of them came from Ethiopia. And that basically shows that the market is ready to get the rightful change. And also that shows then the level of commitment and the type of innovations that they had, because basically to sit on top of the continent and basically be named as one of the top companies for the African-wide accelerator, it's a testament that the Ethiopian companies are ready to really make the change that this particular continent requires. The solutions are not only for Ethiopia, and that's something that I need to mention. The solutions can be basically consumed across the continent.
Successes in the acceleration program can only be measured in their impact on the real world, and despite Bima Lab Ethiopia launching for the first time, its African correlative has been in implementation since 2020.
Yeah, so I think the key thing is basically growth of the market, where we've run this particular program, especially in Ghana, Nigeria, and Kenya. We've so far seen a number of new companies being established. We've seen customers getting access to products and services, particularly insurance products and services. We've seen growth in numbers in terms of the number of customers that have been accessed. So, for instance, in Nigeria, we've seen the growth of, the numbers of the insurance people. Around 1 million people have so far accessed products and solutions. In Ghana, 1.2 million Ghanaians have so far managed to access these particular products and solutions.
With the rise of digital financial services in the past years, more hope has been placed in reaching rural areas and bridging the gap in access to financial services throughout the country. In the case of insurance services, access is not only dominated in urban centers, but concentrates in the capital, with around 60% of the branches of the 18 insurance players located in Addis Ababa alone. With the overhang of challenges with connectivity to rural areas and wider population adoption still in mind, Marcos Lama, founder of ICE Addis, explained it as, "It is not a sprint, but a marathon."
And if you're looking at the phone penetration, the number of devices are actually coming in, and also how the behavior of even farmers when when you change your phone, most of the time you actually move into a smartphone. And this trajectory is actually it's a very positive trajectory. So looking at that, actually it's very big. And then the other thing you need to look at is actually Ethiopia is a very big country, right? So any percentage, if you're talking about 20%, that's a full country somewhere else, right? So there is a huge market. So for the insurtech companies, they can actually scale within a short period of time if they manage that. But again, the challenge is since it's a very big country, there is a digital literacy issues and even overall literacy issues. How do you really reach the rural places? And then if you're looking at all the technology the farmers are using, they need to be demonstrated to, right? Because the farmers actually don't have enough resources, so they just need to see the value before they invest it on. But once they see the value, they actually put in resources, right? So, but that timeline is very long timeline. The adoption takes long time, but there is still a high potential for them to do it. So especially basic services like financial services, insurance services, this is something the farmers can be benefited, and then they can use that.
Agriculture being a key sector in the Ethiopian economy that contributes to more than 30% of the country's GDP is still an untapped potential for new innovations in insurance to access and provide their services. With a large focus on reaching those underserved rural areas, covering premiums for agricultural products is said to be a necessity. But problems still arise for small-scale farmers not affording the premiums quoted and the government not providing premium subsidies. One company working on farmers and agricultural insurance is Pula, with a stated 10 million farmers insured throughout Latin America, Africa, and Asia. Its Ethiopian country office manager Dagmawi Haile Jesus has stated it has reached 130,000 farmers in Ethiopia with their product offering.
But our product, which we call area yield index insurance, focuses on the field of farmers. We calculate their actual harvest, compare it to the previous year. If they have loss, then we make payouts. So that means it covers them for a lot of things: excessive rainfall, drought, rainfall loss, less rainfall, frost, hail, and a bunch of other perils, right? And the benefit of area yield index insurance is that we're always on the field engaging with farmers. So farmers know it's not just payouts coming based on what the satellite just tells us. We are there next to them. We visit them 4 or 5 times throughout the season.
As for ensuring sustainability of the business and providing less reliance on foreign development aid, he had this to say about his company's strategy.
Lastly, most of these programs were development partner driven. Now we are working with the government to bring a model where the government takes insurance in 3 years' time so that the uptake could be natural in a way. The first season now farmers have not paid anything. 100% premium was funded by donor. Second season, however, we conducted a study after our sensitization activities and they understand the benefit of it. Farmers are willing to pay up to 20%. Third season, it might go to 40, then 50, 60, to 0. So in 3 years' time, farmers will pay the premium out of pocket, which is very cheap. As I said, it's 300 birr per bag of fertilizer. That's how it works.
In a decade where much has not changed in the export variety of Ethiopia, the United Nations Development Programme has published that Ethiopia has a considerable potential to become a manufacturing powerhouse. The working paper, which comes amidst Ethiopia's manufacturing capacity struggles, with a 1.5% decrease between 2019 and 2022, expects the country's manufacturing export to reach $10 billion by 2030, with significant changes and reforms expected to be made. During a discussion for the annual development conference hosted by the UNDP, a state minister for the Ministry of Industry of Ethiopia highlighted the key factors that makes the country a hotspot for manufacturing and emphasized his government's commitment to develop the necessary infrastructures.
From Ethiopia multi-sectoral developmental approach, industrial development is at the center of Ethiopia development policy. Both the 10-year development plan and the homegrown economic reform agenda identified the manufacturing sector as one of the key priority sectors which given special focus. According huge investment in industrial park, integrated industrial clusters, infrastructural development such as road, railways, and logistics have been made. Development of labor-intensive light manufacturing industry is one of the main strategies adopted to create jobs for the growing youth population, generating foreign exchange through promoting export competitiveness and technology transfer.
The annual development conference, which was launched by UNDP in 2022 to showcase the latest analytical works, had its agenda on Can Ethiopia Become a Manufacturing Powerhouse, with a presentation from UNDP Economic Advisor Ali Zafar and experience sharing from Bangladesh and Kenya. Opening the conference, acting resident representative of UNDP in Ethiopia stated the significance of manufacturing development to achieve Agenda 2023 of the UN. She went on to add,
"The manufacturing sector has been a focal point for Ethiopia with several interventions over the past 20 years, including the establishment of industrial and agro-industrial parks. This sector has the potential to contribute to the country's structural transformation, create jobs for the millions of young women and men who enter the labor market every year, promote local SMEs, and produce for export and import. UNDP's research and analysis acknowledges the progress Ethiopia has made over the past decades. This working paper, which will be presented shortly, argues that this progress needs to be translated into meaningful structural transformation in the economy and inclusive growth. UNDP proposes policy options for all of us as policymakers to consider. The UNDP analysis shows that the country has considerable potential to export at least $10 billion in goods by 2030.
The working paper analyzed the problems current manufacturing sectors in Ethiopia faced in their operation and showed export projections for 2030 on the condition of the country's government reform. It also mentioned the low energy cost, cheap labor in industrial land as a competitive advantage for Ethiopia to attract more investment in its industrial sector, while forex problems, peace and security issues were mentioned as limiting factors in attracting investments.